In my sophomore year of high school, I started volunteering at Save a Life Pet Rescue, a nonprofit organization that rescues dogs from kill shelters across multiple states. Throughout my time there, I've had the privilege of working with and learning about rescue dogs, which has helped me further bond with my own dog, Luna, who was rescued in Alabama by Save a Life. It was such a wonderful sight to see the dogs find loving forever homes, and because of this experience, I wonder why more people didn't adopt rescues. Unfortunately, there can be a lot of stigma around the types of dogs that usually end up in shelters and foster homes. For example, when I was volunteering, I found that most of the dogs and puppies that would be up for adoption were either black dogs, pit bull mixes, or Staffordshire Terrier mixes, which are often confused for pit bulls. As someone who owns a black part pit bull dog who is the most wonderful girl, it is so incredibly sad to see sweet and friendly dogs judged simply based on how they look or their genetic makeup. There was one situation I witnessed where a family had come to an adoption event I was working at for what seemed to be their first dog. But when they walked past the puppies I was tending to, I heard them say that they specifically wanted to avoid getting a pit bull just because of the stigma around them. Hearing these kinds of comments always breaks my heart a little because I firmly believe that dogs should not be judged solely on their breed. Oftentimes, dogs remain in shelters for extended periods of time, which can often be dogs that have these characteristics, are unethically euthanized. According to Shelter Animals Count, 597,000 total animals were euthanized in 2025. 320,000 of these recorded animals were dogs. These dogs are usually healthy, but there is not enough room in shelters to provide care for all of them. This reality is incredibly sad because there are so many animals who sit in shelters for years that are friendly, starved for attention, and waiting patiently for someone that will love them, only for them to be euthanized before that moment can come. The main reason that many prefer breeders over shelters and rescues is that they are looking for a specific breed and desire a purebred. The truth of the matter is, most purebred dogs are inbred to an incredibly large degree. This is because breeders only breed a small selection of dogs in order to establish certain desirable traits or appearances. So many dogs are bred a certain way in order to be marketed as cute and more desirable. But this type of breeding can be detrimental to a breed. A common example of this are French bulldogs. Due to selective breeding, French bulldogs have flatter faces, larger heads, and more compact bodies compared to what original French bulldogs had when humans began breeding them in the 1800s. Because of this, modern French bulldogs have breathing issues because of their tighter airways, and a majority of female French bulldogs are only able to give birth to puppies via C-section because of their narrow pelvic and hip structure. Other medical complications because of harmful breeding include spinal deformities and skin allergies. Despite these medical issues, purebred French bulldog puppies can sell for thousands of dollars. This was the case when my neighbor was selling her purebred French bulldog puppies, which sold for around $5,000 each. This is another downside of breeding, as purebred dogs are viewed as more valuable, even with the inbreeding and other possible complications. A majority of rescue dogs are incredibly cheap, especially if they are older. This pricing is usually to try and ensure a dog's adoption as soon as possible, but unfortunately, despite the steps taken by shelters to make their dogs and puppies as easy to adopt as possible, many remain in crowded shelters all over the country. Thank you.